everyone, welcome back to the coYEETes podcast. This is where two hockey aficionados discuss their perspectives on headlines surrounding the NHL, including recent stories, game highlights, league culture, and other topics trending amongst the fans. This is Viddy.
My name is Mrinal, and this week in hockey, everybody's got theories, everybody's got rumors, and it doesn't matter. We're talking on ice, we're talking off ice, we're talking team relocations.
Mm-hmm.
It is rumor season in hockey.
Ready to discuss?
Oh yeah, have you been able to keep up with everything going on, man?
Honestly, it felt like a couple weeks ago things were getting a little bit slow outside of the playoffs, and now it just feels like there's an abundance. We can't keep up with it. There's so much. We got 3 topics today. Usually we got 2. We got 3 today.
Yeah, it's going to be a big show, big show.
Mm-hmm.
So last time we talked, the second round was just kind of starting to formalize. On this episode, second round's over and third round game ones are just finished.
Mm-hmm.
So we're going to do a little retro on the second round and then talk a bit about the third round. So let's just dive right into it. First matchup from the second round we're going to talk about. Florida beats Toronto 4-1.
Yep. I didn't see that one coming. I remember, sure, Florida beat Boston in 7, but I thought that was more of a Boston kind of fell apart and collapsed. I thought Toronto was, given that they were able to take down Tampa, I thought they had this one in the bag. Then they went down 3-0, and I was like, the series is done. It doesn't matter what the game count is. Toronto's not coming out of this. Florida's playing with heart, and Toronto isn't, and I think that's the biggest deal breaker right now.
Florida's also playing with a literal brick wall in net.
Yeah.
Like Sergei Bobrovsky in the Toronto series, save percentage 9.43.
Yeah, anything close to 9.5 is ridiculous, and I think we're recording this on Saturday, May 20th. So the quadruple overtime game 1 between Carolina and Florida just happened, and the save percentage was over 0.95 or something like that.
Yeah, over 0.96, I think.
Oh my god,
that Bobrovsky
that's unreal.
Has ascended every level.
Yeah, that's almost funny how good it is.
Yeah,
like it's you see even as a coach or a GM, you see a stat like that, and you just can't help but laugh.
Yeah, I mean the way Florida is playing right now, like
who's stopping them?
Yeah,
who's stopping them?
Who's stopping them? And I mean Carolina came really freaking close, and it took Freddie Anderson putting up a 9.5 something save percentage too.
Yeah,
I mean that's going to be an absolute slugfest as well.
That was an epic battle for sure.
But yeah, going back to Florida, Toronto, the other player, huge impact player, Matthew Tkachuk, absolutely decimating it and leading that team. Like, I know Barkov is the captain, but I think Tkachuk has just proved why he's a leader in this series.
Yeah.
There was that video of a bunch of Toronto fans chanting, "We want Florida," when they were about to win the first round. And then when Florida beats Toronto, I think there was a quote from Tkachuk, something like, it's nice not to hear "we want Florida tonight" or something like that. Yeah, absolutely devastating.
Yeah, I mean, is it too early to say that Calgary might have lost this trade?
Well, see, this is the thing. Tkachuk had a world-beating season.
Yes.
Huberdeau had a very down season. So
that might have also been with the coach in the system. And
yeah, I know there's been problems with Daryl Sutter there and all that stuff. So I would say it's too early to say.
Okay.
Because we know Huberdeau is better than this, and it's not like he's super old yet, So I think this season was kind of an anomaly for Calgary, so we've got to see what Huberdeau can do.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. Moving on to the Carolina and New Jersey series, where Carolina beats New Jersey 4-1. I honestly expected this to go exactly as it did. I mean, Carolina's stacked. New Jersey, don't get me wrong, they did a great job taking out the Rangers in 7.
Yeah.
But look, Carolina's not even at full strength, and they absolutely just dismantled them. Like, I mean, there's no real explanation other than New Jersey got out hustled in every aspect. And Carolina walked away with a 4-1 series victory. There's not really much to analyze here. They just got outplayed.
Yeah, like I don't think New Jersey played bad or anything.
No,
I think this is just New Jersey's ceiling this year.
Yeah.
And I mean, they played well, but they're a very young team, right? Carolina has some of that experience, like players like Brent Burns and Jordan Staal mixed in with their young guys. And Carolina's doing this without Max Pacioretty and without Andrei Svechnikov, which are 2 huge pieces.
I'm glad you said Pacioretty. I was going to say, that's a big veteran presence. He was captain of the Canadiens for a long time. I mean, and he's not even on the team or on the ice right now. Imagine if he was.
Yeah. So, I mean, Carolina's looking really good, and they proved it in game 1 against Florida as well. That was 2 defensive teams going head to head.
Yeah.
So Carolina's exciting to watch. For New Jersey next year, I think they can build on this.
Yes.
Do you think they keep Timo Meier?
Um, I, I think logically it doesn't make sense to, honestly, given the track record. But I could see. No, actually, I take that back. I think logically, maybe give like a shorter deal, maybe 3 to 5 years.
Yeah, bridge deal.
Yeah, bridge deal. But what I think is actually going to happen is they're going to hand him like an 8x8 or something.
Yeah, so that's the thing, because Meyer is a restricted free agent. His qualifying offer to keep his rights is $10 million.
Oh wow!
So what they could do is not give him the qualifying offer. In that case, he becomes a UFA, and then they can sign whatever contract with him. But it also opens him up to negotiate with any other team. So I would assume they go that route, because even if they open up negotiation and they lose him, they might be able to get by.
Yeah.
You know, they had a strong team, and they're probably going to get some players back next year, like Patches and Svechnikov. So, but I think it's interesting to watch. Like, I have no idea what Meyer feels. Like, does he want to stay there? Does he want to go somewhere else?
Yeah. I mean, it's hard to justify 10 mil for Timo Meyer.
Yeah.
He's a great player, but 10 million, I'm not. Yeah.
Yeah, I
don't
would
know
say
about
something
that.
around the 6 to 8 range. Right?
Yeah. It's 7 tops in my opinion. I don't even know if he's reached the 8 range yet. Like he's a fantastic player, but it's either lights out or you don't really see him on the ice.
Very streaky.
Yeah. So it's just you can't really be paying that 10 million. I mean, given the Toronto situation, I guess all the core 4 is getting contracts like that anyways, but
yeah, but Timo Meyer's not at that level.
Yes, yeah. So I don't know. It's hard to justify 10 mil. I think he's going to turn into a UFA. I don't know. I have doubts about him returning to New Jersey, but we'll see.
Yeah, definitely a story to follow in the offseason. Moving out west, Dallas versus Seattle. Dallas wins in 7. I think round of applause for the Seattle Kraken.
Good job, Kraken.
I beat all expectations.
Yeah.
You walk out of that, they're head held high.
Yeah. I mean, we started these playoff predictions a couple podcasts ago. I think I said Seattle's going to win a grand total of 0 games.
Yeah,
and they took down the reigning Cup champs on away ice. They beat Colorado in 7 in Colorado.
Yeah,
and then took Dallas to 7 this time too. Granted, they didn't win, but like you said, there's nothing really to hang your head about. Like this was an overachievement by Seattle, in my opinion. So
the biggest question from Seattle is this an anomaly, or can they do this again next year?
I think that players are going to take notice now and see Seattle as not just an expansion team, but like a legitimate place to play. I mean, for Vegas, it happened in the first year. All of a sudden, they were getting like big names coming to them.
I mean, they went to the Cup final.
Yeah,
right?
that's what I mean.
Yeah.
So it's like, it's not just like, oh, it's an expansion team. It'd be fun to play there. Like the fourth line guys are like, oh, I could get some minutes there.
Yeah.
No, I think Seattle has put the league on notice, and now I think possibly bigger. I could see Timo Meyer maybe going there. You know what I mean? Like I think bigger names are going to start heading to Seattle, just because they've proven they have it in them. So
big names like Austin Matthews or Mitch Marner.
That I'm not sure. That's definitely an off season debate. I don't think that core 4 is staying together after this year. But I don't know. It would be interesting. I don't. If I'm Seattle, I'm not really taking any of them because I don't know. I still think they eat up too much cap space, and they're gonna have to pay them even more. Let's be real. They've only won a max of 5 games in the playoffs in the past like however many years, but I think Austin Matthews and Mitch Marner are both going to get even bigger contracts than they have right now.
Yeah.
Because nowadays in the NHL you get paid on potential.
Yeah.
So
especially if you're younger.
Yeah. Which is like unfortunate, but like I don't know. I don't think Seattle should be taking those players, but that's a discussion for the offseason.
I think the bigger question for Seattle is for their young players, Matty Beniers, Jared McCann. Can they do this again?
I think they can.
Yeah.
I think they can. I mean, even in the playoffs, even when they weren't on the score sheet, you noticed them on the ice. Their presence was there, and they were like making good plays, defensive plays, hustling. I mean, I think they have it in them.
Yeah. Looking at the other side of that matchup real quick, we haven't talked much about Dallas, but what a team.
Yeah.
I was just looking at their
Stacked.
build. Yeah, stacked. And then looking at their build, they have this perfect blend of veteran experience and young guys. You got vets like Sagan, Ben, Pavelski, Suter, and then you got a bunch of young guys too, like Johnston, Robertson, Heiskanen, and Ottinger as well. So, and it doesn't matter what position, forward, core, defense, they always have a great blend of players. So they're built to be good now. They're built to be good in the future. I think this is an exciting team to watch.
Yeah.
And I think their game one also proved it.
Yeah. I saw a stat where I think it was Wyatt Johnson had the series clinching goal in both the first and second round.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, Dallas's future is in very bright hands.
And all these players are stepping up, right? Like you said, Johnson is clinching games. Yeah. Meanwhile, there's other games where Pavelski's scoring 4 goals.
Yeah.
I
mean, he's 38 and he's still putting up numbers like that Austin Matthews should be putting up.
He's still playing on the top line.
Yeah.
With 2 young guys.
Yeah.
As a not great skater.
Yeah. He's not very fast on the ice, but look at what he can do. He knows what he's good at. He knows his role and he utilizes it very well. And I think that could be said about most of that Dallas roster.
Yeah. And out of the 4 teams remaining, I think Dallas's power play is the one I have the most fun watching.
Yeah. I'm on the edge of my seat every time because I was like, they're going to do it. They're going to do it. Very excited team to watch.
Quick shout out also to Miro Heiskanen, who I think is the new designated underrated player of the league.
Yeah.
For years, it's been Alexander Barkov, but no, it's Heiskanen.
Mm-hmm.
Anytime you watch a Dallas game, somehow he's in the right place, right time, all the time.
All the time. Like he might not be the flashiest, he's not. He's no Erik Karlsson doing some insane passes or crazy breakaway goals or whatever. But
or flying up end to end on the ice.
Yeah, but if you're a defenseman, you know what you should be doing. You should be defending, and that's exactly what he does. So
and gets a nice handful of points on top of that.
Yeah, I mean, he's as a coach, that's probably the most perfect defenseman you could have.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and look at Dallas' success. You can't really argue it with it this playoffs. So yeah.
Yep, and he fits right well with the Pete DeBoer system that relies a lot on defensemen being active.
Yes.
So
yeah.
All right, last second round matchup to talk about. Vegas takes out Connor McDavid and the Oilers 4-2.
Not surprised by this at all. I don't know where all the narratives came from. They came from TSN and Sportsnet and all these other Canadian media outlets where they were like, "Oh, we might see a McDavid Matthews finals." No, I was like, as soon as Edmonton got put up against Vegas, I was like, they're done. In 6, Vegas is going to take this, and that's exactly what happened. Edmonton's a power play team.
Yeah.
Let's just put it that way.
Yeah, see, that was the thing. I had Edmonton winning the series in 6 or 7, but I did not expect Edmonton to get this shut down 5-on-5.
Yeah.
And we've seen it in previous years when the only big names were McDavid and Draisaitl. That's not the case this year. You had Ryan Nugent-Hopkins with a 100-point season. You had Evander Kane with a great season.
They didn't show up when it mattered, though.
Yeah, see, that was the whole thing. Everyone's hating on Draisaitl and McDavid, oh, you guys can't get it done. But I'm like, okay.
Where was the rest of the team?
When you watch the Oilers play and McDavid flies into the zone, he's got 3 players hanging off of him.
Yeah, double or triple team. Yeah,
that means someone's open.
Yeah.
And if that someone is Evander Kane, Ryan Nugent-Hopkins, or Zach Hyman, what are you guys doing?
Yeah. It's not so much that there's a lack of depth. It's the
depth didn't show up.
The depth, didn't show up. Yeah.
Yeah, I saw a bunch of other people complaining that, oh, hey, Edmonton needs to get more depth players.
No, they don't.
They have a solid top 6.
Yeah.
And a serviceable bottom 6.
Yeah.
For a team that's built like that, they got to do great. They got good contributions on the back end. Evan Bouchard, Ekholm, even Darnell Nurse. He had some really public mistakes, but overall, I think was fine.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. I think Edmonton should run it back.
Yeah. I think the issue, I don't know if it's a coaching issue or whatever, but if that depth showed up to play with the same heart that McDavid and Draisaitl did, they might have made it past Vegas.
Yeah,
it's just you can't just keep relying on man advantages to win you a series. It just doesn't work like that. It's the same way Toronto. You can't rely on Toronto to score 9 goals a game with a subpar defense and to win. It just doesn't work like that.
Yeah.
So
and the thing with Edmonton also was their goaltending fell off at the worst time.
That's true.
And that's going to happen with a player like Stuart Skinner, who's very, very young.
Yeah. I don't know if you can blame Skinner.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He was asked to deliver more than he should have been asked to.
Yes.
And he did his best.
Yeah. And Jack Campbell was supposed to be that guy, which he wasn't. So
I think maybe tinker with the goalies. I expect Skinner to come back even better next season.
Yeah.
As, these players develop. So I think if I was the GM of Edmonton, I'd probably run it back.
Yeah. I don't think drastic changes should be made, but there should be something should be said in that locker room where it's like, guys,
Yeah.
McDavid and Draisaitl can't do it all. So
maybe this is like the year where Colorado lost and Nathan McKinnon just said, no, we're doing it next year.
Yeah.
Maybe this is it for Edmonton.
Yeah, we'll see. But something needs to be said in that locker room. So,
all right, real quick, looking at the third round preview, we talked a little bit about it. So we got Florida versus Carolina, and then Dallas versus Vegas.
mm-hmm.
What series are you watching? What are you excited for?
I've game one of each series has finished so far. I didn't get a chance to watch Dallas versus Vegas, but I watched some of Carolina versus Florida.
Yeah, that marathon of a game.
There was 2 games in that. Yeah. It was. I remember like, all right, this is going to go into the 5th overtime, and whatever, and then Matthew Tkachuk just kind of Hail Marys it and goes in. A lot of people were like, "Oh, it might have been offsides." I was like, "Guys, this is game 1 of the series. If this was game 7 of the Cup Finals, sure."
Also, all goals in overtime are automatically reviewed now.
Yeah, I was like, dude, like, just go home at that point. Like, even Carolina's like, let's just go home. Like,
I audibly laughed though when I saw Tkachuk score. He points at it and then immediately off the ice.
As anyone should. I was like, I think anyone should have done that. Yeah, I think that was a perfect response to that.
And of course, it's Matthew Tkachuk.
Yeah, of course. But yeah, both great series. I think I got Carolina in 7, and I also think I have Dallas in 7. I think both these are going to 7. Both games already went to overtime of each series. I think it's going to be. I think these are very evenly matched series. Let's just put it that way.
Oh, absolutely. Both of these are watching like bulls just ramming it in the head.
Yeah.
Or deer. The deer that do that.
Deer.
Animals.
Yeah. That's David Attenborough.
Yeah. But I would disagree with you. I think Dallas in 7. I think you're right.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be Florida in 7.
Mm.
Bobrovsky is way too good right now.
Mm-hmm.
So
the reason I want to say Carolina is 1 because I'm biased and I had them as a Cup pick, but 2, I think like we were talking about earlier, like the depth on that team is unreal. I mean, it's a stacked team, and like they're not even at full strength, and they're doing all this damage. Florida's advantage is they're playing with heart that no other team in the playoffs is displaying right now. That being said, I don't know how far it gets you in comparison to a team like Carolina. I think Carolina has been, especially because they've been in at least the East Finals in the past few years, maybe second round, third round, whatever. They have playoff experience recently. I don't think Florida does, and we've seen teams crumble as farther that they go into the playoffs. I feel like it might happen to Florida this round, but so far they've been looking great. So it's really hard to say.
Exciting things.
Yeah.
Let's take a quick foray to the other side of the standings.
The very bottom.
Yeah, the draft lottery happens. By draft lottery rules this year, the first 2 picks were lottery picks. And the teams had odds based on their finishing position. So Anaheim finished last. They had the best odds. But the first overall pick goes to the Chicago Blackhawks. Second overall pick goes to the Anaheim Ducks. Then your draft order top 5 is Chicago, Anaheim, Columbus, San Jose, and Montreal. So this means most likely that Chicago will be drafting generational talent Connor Bedard.
Not even a full off season after Patrick Kane and Jonathan Toews are gone. They get to restart and pretend that their whole Kyle Beach situation just never existed. Great PR win, as you mentioned a couple podcasts ago.
When we talked about last time we talked about lottery, I said, who needs a PR win more than Chicago? And, I don't want to accuse anyone of any fixing or anything like that. But if you are a fan of any team that is not Chicago, you are not happy right now.
Yeah. Let's ignore the whole, it was rigged. I mean, there's people will always say that. But what makes me angry is you had New Jersey have to suspend a first round pick for signing Kovalchuk to a legal contract at the time. Whatever, it was like a 15-year contract or something. You had Arizona lose a couple first round picks because they had pre-combine workouts or something.
They had they talked to prospects about their diets and had them do I think some light workouts outside the official NHL Draft Combine, which is a rules violation.
Yeah, got penalized for that.
Yeah.
This one you covered up an assault within your organization for a decade.
Yeah.
Only got fined $2 million, which you made back in an hour and a half. In season ticket sales, an hour and a half after winning the draft lottery. and you still somehow get to pick first overall, or the fact that you get to pick in the first round at all.
Yeah, it really brought back the feeling that the punishment didn't fit the crime.
No, at all.
Yeah.
At all. I was like, are you kidding me? Like, it's even, again, keeping all the rigged accusations aside, why is Chicago picking in the first round at all? Why do they own a first round pick? Let's put it that way.
Yeah, so they got no sporting penalty.
For just money.
Yeah, just money, which...
For a literal crime.
Yeah.
An actual punishable by prison time crime.
Yeah. And I think the people involved, like Stan Bowman and Joel Quenneville, are not allowed back in the league until Gary Bettman says they're allowed back in the league. But no sporting penalties for the team.
Yeah, it's a joke. It's a joke. Yeah, if there's any team that absolutely does not deserve Connor Bedard, I hate using that word. Oh, deserve. I'm like, you got to earn it. But like in this case, yeah, you actually don't deserve him.
Yeah,
I was like, given the way you've treated players and star players, and I don't know.
Yeah, well, that's how the ping pong balls roll.
Yeah, of course, freaking ping pong balls.
Yeah, so we'll follow up on the draft lottery in a couple weeks here. I think it's in the middle of June is the lottery. Sorry, not the lottery, the draft.
The draft, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Cool. Last story for this episode. The Arizona Coyotes are in the news again. So for those,
it's always bad stuff too. It's never good things.
So for those of you who aren't familiar with the story, I'm going to give a very, very high level overview here. Currently, the Arizona Coyotes are sharing an arena with Arizona State University, Mullet Arena, that seats about 5,000, which is way less capacity than any other NHL team.
A third, or maybe a fourth. I'm not sure. Somewhere around there.
Very, very small arena. So that's where the Arizona Coyotes are playing, and the logo at center ice is still the ASU Sun Devils, not the Coyotes. So,
have you? Sorry, quick tangent. Have you noticed in like highlights and stuff, they do their best to not show the middle of the ice?
Oh, I haven't noticed
of like
that.
Arizona like games and stuff. I was like, wow, they really like try to cut away as quick as possible.
Oh, I didn't notice that.
It's kind of funny, unless it's a breakaway, obviously. But anyways, I digress.
So they're playing in this arena because they lost their tenancy at their NHL facility in Glendale, Arizona. But they're now have this deal until 2025 to share space with Arizona State University. Their plan was to build a brand new entertainment district in what is currently a landfill in Tempe, Arizona. This would include an arena. It would include apartments. It would include shopping. It's supposed to be like a full-on entertainment district. Tempe City Council was on board. Everything was going all right. And then it went to a public vote. And they had to pass some referendums to agree to use the land for that.
Yeah.
And the Arizona Coyotes lost that vote.
Yeah. That should have been I was shocked, but I was like, I thought that was going to be a slam dunk. Like, easy one.
So they lost that vote. The citizens of Tempe want to keep that as a landfill or use it for other building opportunities. I wasn't quite sure what they're actually going to use.
I think the quote was like recreational purposes or something like that.
Okay,
right?
So they're going to build something other than an arena there.
Yeah, I don't know.
But now the Coyotes don't have anywhere to go post 2025. Yeah. So they did confirm that they're going to stay at Mullet Arena for at least next season, but this might be the end of the Coyotes in Arizona.
Yeah, I think it. I don't think it might. It's a might. I think it is. Where are they going to go? I mean, the Islanders were dealing with a similar situation a couple years ago, but they did eventually get an arena, and I think they're doing fine now. I think the fan base is back in it. But yeah, the Coyotes, they are quite literally homeless after this year. Like, not even a college team wants to like host them.
Yeah, so
you got to move them
if you want to stay in Arizona. I think your two options are you got to reconcile with Glendale somehow, which seems unlikely.
No, I don't think
the other option is to share space with the Phoenix Suns. So the Suns owner has not been enthusiastic about that prospect.
Yeah. I mean, given how much the Coyotes lose in terms of finances every single year, who is excited about that?
Yeah, and that's the thing, right? Like, when the NHL went to Arizona, it didn't feel like they gave them a fair shake, right? Like, you look at Vegas, you look at Seattle, they got these expansion drafts that were meant to make them competitive right away.
Right.
And they succeeded largely.
Right, but I mean, so Columbus and Minnesota, I believe, came in the same year, or maybe like...
Well, Arizona was a relocation of the Winnipeg Jets, right? They weren't an expansion.
Right. Oh, yeah, that's true. That is true. Yeah, I mean, that's largely probably why the team also failed. But the reason I bring up Columbus and Minnesota is because the draft or the what do you call it? The expansion draft, I guess you could call it.
Mhm.
The rules changed significantly. They are designed to make the team more competitive right off the bat.
Yeah.
Um,
Because the NHL learned having a
Yeah.
team just suck for decades
Yeah.
is not conducive to growing the game, right?
Columbus and Minnesota still suck. I genuinely can't remember the last time Minnesota made it past the second round, if they have ever.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah,
Off the
that's
top
what I
of my
mean.
head.
Columbus has never done it.
And-
Like Minnesota's never done it.
Columbus has what, one series win?
Yeah, against Tampa in 2019.
Mhm.
Miracle. Yeah, like they've won on a miracle, and which is like, it's a shame. I mean, like the expansion draft, like whatever rules can be a whole separate debate, but it feels like the Coyotes were somewhat doomed to fail.
Yeah. And they've never had a stable ownership who wanted to be competitive, right?
Mhm.
They were always kind of the team that was cutting costs or not wanting to field expensive players
Yeah,
on the ice.
no good owners.
Yeah, because they just wanted to survive.
Yeah.
And they kind of became this cap dump
Yeah,
for the
a
rest of the
graveyard.
league.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
where they send your old players who are never going to play again on long-term injured reserve just so that Arizona can meet the cap floor.
Yeah.
And that's just how they survive. And in their years there, 20-something years, they've been there since 96.
Mhm.
They had, Shane Doan
Yeah.
as a star player. And their biggest claim to fame is that Austin Matthews was from Arizona.
Yeah, nobody on the current roster. It's some guy in Toronto. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's a shame.
And now, Clayton Keller is there. But, how big of a star is Clayton Keller compared to...
He gets no coverage. I haven't
Yeah.
heard anything from him this
And
year.
Is it because he's bad or is it because he's in Arizona? Who knows?
Yeah.
I could see Clayton Keller going to some other market and suddenly becoming a huge name.
Yeah, of course, absolutely. It's just I think it's because it's Arizona, honestly.
Yeah.
And I mean part of the bad image kind of debate is when you're an away team going to Mullet Arena,
Mhm.
you're not even in a real locker room. You're in a storage closet,
that they put
basically.
racks in.
Yeah, and it's like, and they have like those like foldable chairs that they use at barbecues and stuff.
Yeah.
Like that's what professional athletes are sitting on, and you have state of the art. But they're going to like other places and they have state of the art locker rooms for the away team.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's a very bad look. And I don't know if Gary Bettman needs to kind of just put his pride aside and be like, we tried, but it didn't work.
Yeah. And then, we're talking about relocation, right? So now we're bringing up all the names that come up whenever we talk about relocation. Houston, Quebec City, Salt Lake City was a big one.
Yeah.
You had Patrick Mahomes from the Chiefs,
Mhm.
Kansas City Chiefs, saying, hey, come to KC.
Mm-hmm.
So people are interested elsewhere.
Yeah.
But, yeah, what do you think? Where do you think if they had to move?
I just because I've seen the name come up more often than any other one is I think they're going to end up in Houston.
Mm-hmm.
They're not going to go to Canada because Canada's doing fine. Everyone tunes into teams in Canada.
Yeah, I have a bone to pick with that, actually. The
Mhm.
NHL strategy has always been try and get casual fans or new fans to watch, oftentimes at the detriment of your existing loyal fan base.
But the loyal fans are going to tune in anyways.
Yeah, but it's the idea of if you make a great product that your
Mhm.
fans enjoy, aren't they more likely to spread by word of mouth and bring people in because it's a great product, not because you did some marketing ploy?
Right.
Like you
I see.
talk about things as like the jersey ads straight up to start times of the game.
Mhm.
Everything is built to be for the casual fan. And they
Mhm.
move their schedule around like, oh, we don't want to clash with the NFL. We don't want to clash with the NBA. Like, for once, I'd like the league to just say, here's our thing. Watch if you want. And we're going to make it a great experience for you on TV,
Mhm.
in the arena, no matter what. If
Yeah.
you can't watch and you want to see a replay later, we make that easy for you to find.
Mhm.
How hard is it even just to watch live games right
And for some people, it's impossible. Like games
Yeah.
getting blacked out and like in the local region, whatever.
Mhm. And
Yeah.
Arizona is like a symptom of that. They're like, yeah, let's go get fans in Arizona rather than maybe giving someone like Quebec City
Yeah.
a dedicated team with a dedicated fan base and getting that gate revenue and growing the game that way.
Yeah.
And we've seen Vegas and Seattle get fans from all over both countries just
Mhm.
because people are like, oh, I want to follow hockey, but I don't know what team. Oh, this team's brand new. I'm going to follow them.
Yeah.
If you just get a successful team somewhere,
Yeah.
I kind of feel like coming back to Arizona, it might be better to let the franchise fold, go to 31 teams for 2 seasons, then expand. Give them
You're
a
right.
fresh start.
You're right. Yeah. Just erase the history entirely.
Yeah.
No, you're right. I think that is a good move. You know what it reminds me of is this whole like going to other places and stuff is in typical. I can't speak for every workplace, but in typical corporate offices, fashion, whatever, you see managers look externally to fill in bigger roles instead of often trying to promote internally, minus like a couple of people here and there. And that's what it feels. I was like, you have all these great teams that could be better. There's a lot that could be better about the NHL.
Yeah.
But the focus is to expand the market. I was like, if you just made a better quality product on ice and marketed it better within the team, then maybe ESPN would just stop shitting all over hockey the way that they do.
More so growing a team in Arizona or Houston, you'd be better off getting a deal like F1 or Major League Soccer saying, hey, all our games are on this platform. You pay this much a month. You can watch anything you want.
Yeah. And make sure that's true. Like, make sure that's like actually legit.
No blackouts, no restrictions. And if you need to make it expensive, make it expensive. I'd pay $100 a year
to know for sure that you're
I can watch any game I want.
Yeah. Yeah.
Why does that not exist?
Yeah.
Like, you are behind the times, NHL.
Yeah. That's a whole separate issue with the marketing and everything. But I think I like your idea with just letting the Coyotes be done and just let it be 31 teams for a little bit. Yeah. And then figure out where to go from there.
One season.
Not even like.
Yeah. Just so that you can say it's very obvious. It's not blatantly obvious that you're folding and expanding. And I think you need some time to get logistics in place, right?
Yes.
You'll have to get an owner. You'll have to get marketing and build the logos for the team, build up hype.
That's what I mean. I thought that was going to take longer than a season, but maybe not. I don't know.
I mean, how much longer is it than the Jets did it like a month when
the Jets already existed though.
When the Thrashers moved to Winnipeg, but they changed all their branding and everything.
Not that much.
I guess the colors stayed the same.
The colors stayed the same. They kept one of the logos. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it wasn't too much. They had something to go off of. I'm talking. If you're moving a team to Houston, you're gonna have to start fresh, or Salt Lake City, or wherever. But
I mean, that's true even if you move the team, right? Unless you keep the Coyotes branding.
Yeah, I don't know. It depends where you move. I guess if you move to Salt Lake City and Houston, maybe Coyotes still makes sense.
Yeah,
but I don't know. Given what has happened and the reputation that the Coyotes have built up in the public image, I think it's in their best interest to just let it go. Just let the Coyotes, like, I hate to say it, but just let them die. Like, let it just go away and replace it.
Max 2 seasons, I think.
Yeah.
You can do it.
Yeah.
2 seasons, 24 months. Come up with branding and find an owner.
Yeah.
Which you would have to do anyway if you're moving the.
Of course. Yeah. Yeah. I could see that happening. But yeah. If you think they're going to move, let's say in the next season, next 2 seasons, where do you think they're going to end up, and what's your ideal situation?
Yeah, I think I agree with you in saying it's probably going to be Houston. My ideal situation would be that they get a fair shake in Arizona. Like, what if you fold this team, wait 2 seasons, then expand in Arizona?
I don't think it's going to work.
Are fans going to be that upset?
I think they would. I think they'll be like, oh, they're back. Oh, great.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then we're like, oh, good. It's the landfill team again. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think fans would be all that excited about it just because it's just not worked. Like, I don't think fans would genuinely be excited about a team being back in Atlanta.
And how many perennial basement teams would take a free reset right now?
I would love to just throw away the entire Sharks roster and restart.
Yeah.
I was seeing these couple expansion drafts after the 2019 season. I was like, man, I would love to just throw away the entire roster and restart. We have so many long contracts we can't get out of right now.
Yeah. But I mean, it'll come for those expansion teams eventually.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I mean, I would have loved for them to get a fair shake in Arizona, but if they have to move, I think Houston. That's a market that's been talked about for so long. Just do it.
Yeah. There could be a pretty good battle of Texas that you can market to the NHL too.
It's placed well for Dallas, placed well for Nashville, and I think
keeps it in the Central too.
Yeah, that's the other thing I was going to say. You want to keep the team in the Central because you move it somewhere else, you're going to have to realign divisions. And Detroit and Columbus pushed really hard to be in the East the last time there was a realignment.
Yeah, which never made sense. I was like, I can't believe they were ever in the West to begin with.
Yeah, it's just because there's a concentration of East teams, right? There's a point Toronto was in the West.
No way.
Yeah,
that's so silly.
Yeah.
Wow. But yeah, so, that makes okay.
Yeah, so if you got to stay in the Central Division, then Salt Lake City and Houston, like KC's,
not bad. But
Yeah.
I don't see them going there. It's
Why not? Because they have to compete with the Chiefs.
No, just because I think they've talked about Houston for so long.
Oh, okay.
But I'm sure they have contacts there. I'm sure there's someone who might be interested.
Mm-hmm.
And Texas has proven itself able to support multiple sports franchises.
Yeah.
And every other league has multiple there.
That is true. Yeah. Hockey's the only one with one. So.
Yeah. So if they have to move, it's Houston for me.
Gotcha. Yeah. Well, we'll see. We'll see how this pans out.
Yeah. All right. I think we're running up on time here.
Mhm.
Anything burning you want to get to?
Not really. Not really. Just trying to see how these this third round goes. I think it's like I said. I think both of them are going to go to Game 7. We'll see. We'll see how this plays out. Maybe history will be made. Maybe a team that is finally has a player on the roster making over 10 mil will go to the finals, win a cup. We'll see. I don't think it's going to happen, but yeah, just excited for the third round. Excited for the finals. Excited to keep up with the draft. Yeah, like you said at the beginning of the episode, there's a lot going on.
From now until free agency, I think we're gonna have some pretty full episodes.
Yeah. It might slow down a little bit in like the end of July, but I think it's gonna be be a lot of hockey stuff happening in the next couple months. Excited for it.
Yeah, excited. This has been Glass Seats. We're out every Saturday wherever podcasts are found. So we hope you follow along, listen along. Catch you next one. See ya.
Peace.